Let's raise this up a little bit. Like looking down at it. Oh, yeah, this is good. Hey, Stream Elements is in the chat. Red button means we're live. Some Casual Takes, episode 81, hosted by your boy Stephen Pepper, here to casually talk sports. This episode today is brought to you by no one. Glad to be here on this Monday. Good to see everyone. Let's talk some sports. So today we're going to talk about, I got to get this. I'm not a huge college football fan, but everyone's talking about, I mean, I do watch college football, but like, it's not something I really talk about on this show. I'm more of an NFL guy. But I got to talk about this Florida State controversy. We're also going to talk about the big 49ers Eagles game. And I was busy over the weekend, so I couldn't watch a lot of games. But I want to also get this take about the Chargers off, and then we'll wrap it up. It's finals week this coming week, so I'm going to be a little bit busy. But then winter break, guys, trust me, these podcasts are going to be really, really good. I'm going to have so much free time to watch so many games. We're going to have a longer episodes, a little short one today. I got a final project interview to do soon. Sorry, but let's talk about Florida State right now. Let's talk about this Florida State thing. The college football playoff, the season is over as far as the regular season and championship weekend. So they have the college football selection show on Sunday to determine the 4 teams that will go and play in New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I think it's on. I always forget. I think it's on New Year's Day to compete for the college football national championship in the playoff. So Florida State, undefeated, 13-0, Power 5 conference. Won the conference championship, was ranked 4 pretty much the entire year, got left out of the college football playoff, and they're ranked 5th. And it's a huge controversy. The quarterback, the coach, everyone in Florida State student body, they're crying online with statements and tweets, and even a lot of people in the media are heavily disagreeing with the college football playoff committees leaving out Florida State. It's a huge controversy. It really is. Everyone's just like, oh, how can you let out a Power 5 conference 13-0? The integrity of college football playoff, it's a joke. Listen, I have never been the biggest fan of the college football playoff. I just don't like how it is structured. I don't like the committee. I don't like picking the 4. I never liked it since it started, but they got it right. They got it right. So, to the Florida State fans, I got some tissues for you. Cry harder. You got left out for a reason, and it was for the better. I don't want to hear it. The committee got it right. It should always be, if we're going to still have this playoff, it should be the 4 best teams in the country in the playoff. Listen, when we expanded it to 4, the difference between, college football and the NFL is the NFL, everyone plays pretty much common schedule. There's not that many teams. There's like hundreds of schools in college football. So we need a committee or a system to judge teams, because we can't solely rank teams based off record because they don't play a common schedule. So, in the BCS area, the computers, and today we have this committee. So the committee has to judge who the 4 best teams are, and I think they absolutely got it right. It's not just the most deserving, because we've seen in years past, Notre Dame gets in, and Notre Dame was always a bye week in the early stages of the college football playoff because they would always lose. Cincinnati, most deserving, got smacked as soon as they got put in. They were a group of 5 team. And, TCU, I love TCU. Shout out to them for beating Michigan, but they got blown out by 60 in the national championship because they're the more deserving team in the college football playoff. They're ranked higher than OSU. OSU almost beat Georgia in that same playoff. It should be the 4 best teams. I'm excited. I think this is going to be the best college football playoff probably ever, maybe back to that first year that Ohio State won it, because I think every single team here can win the national championship. I don't even know who I'm going to pick to win the national championship. I think every team here can win. Look at the lines. Look at the lines. I think the highest line is Texas over Washington by 4. If Florida State was in this college football playoff, the line against Michigan or Washington, who they would have played if they would have been in, would have been, 14 minimum? And it's because they lost their quarterback. Hey, listen, Jordan Travis put out a little statement, I think on Instagram or something, saying that, his team should be in. It's not just about the quarterback. It's 100% about the quarterback. And the college football playoff head of the committee said, if they would have just lost, it's not like they just lost a running back or lost the receiver. They lost the quarterback. They make all these rules to protect the quarterback for the reason. The quarterback is the most important position in football. You lose your quarterback, it changes your team. You can do that in even the NFL, not just college football. Joe Burrow, is hurt for the Bengals right now. Their season's over because they don't have a capable backup to run that team. You put Burrow in there, they look like one of the best teams in the NFL, but look like one of the worst teams with a backup. Losing Jordan Travis was why FSU was not put in. Simple as that. And I don't want to hear about this. Oh, Cardell Jones was a third-string quarterback. They put him in. They wouldn't have won a national championship. You got to respect that they still have a third-string quarterback. And, Florida State is still a really good team. But offensively, this team sucks. And I get the whole Cardell Jones argument. But Cardell Jones, I'm from Columbus. The reason why OSU went in with Cardell Jones was because they won they won their conference championship game 59-0. Florida State barely beat a Louisville team that's not even that good. They barely beat Florida. So, yes, obviously losing Jordan Travis hurt this team's chances. Yes, they went undefeated and they were a Power 5 conference title winner. But just because you go undefeated and win your conference should not be the only metric. Teams don't play a common schedule in college football. This isn't professional sports with less teams. There needs to be people who judge based on more metrics than just record and conference title who the best teams in college football are. And then stop screaming, Power 5 champion. Dude, the ACC today is closer to a group of 5 conference than the SEC or a Big Ten. It is. The ACC is weak. That's why they went undefeated. There's no chance in hell that this team goes undefeated in the ACC or Big Ten. A one-loss Bama is more deserving than an undefeated FSU because it's more than just being undefeated and winning your conference. First of all, it would be different if, let's not act like I keep hearing, oh, they won their conference. So did Alabama, and they did it in a miles better conference against the number 1 team in the nation that just won back-to-back titles. Alabama also looks better. Looks better is absolutely matters. Alabama, especially against an FSU team on their third-string quarterback, looks more like a national champion, performs like a national champion. They played way better against Georgia than FSU did against Louisville. And they had a harder strength of schedule. Strength of schedule also matters because, let's face it, if Florida State had the schedule of Bama, they'd probably be a 2-loss team. FSU probably still wouldn't have got in. I was watching the game, the ACC title game. My mom goes to Louisville, so I was rooting for Louisville, although I don't think Louisville's that good. I think they're overachieved. I was watching that ACC title game. And I was like, you know what? Florida State, even without Jordan Travis, still probably could have got into the college football playoff. All they would have had to do was just handle Louisville to show that the third-string quarterback doesn't affect their chances because they still have an elite level of defense. But the third-string quarterback makes their offense reek. Brock Glenn, 8 for 12, 55 yards, and the offense was 2 of 16 on third down against Louisville in the ACC title game in front of millions of people. That's why you weren't in. The college football playoff should be about the 4 best teams. I'm not a big fan of the college football playoff. I think they should change the structure so that every conference champion gets in. But when we have 5 conferences in 4 spots, we need more criteria other than, oh, you won your conference and went undefeated, because they don't play the same schedule. I heard some people make the NFL analogies like, oh, what if someone put the 1 seed in the NFL with 3 losses and the 2 seed with 1 loss? This is the NFL. They don't, there's like 30 teams in the NFL and they play 30 teams in the NFL. They all play like a similar schedule. College football, you only play a similar schedule within your conference. The ACC teams play the similar schedule as an ACC team. But comparing an ACC team to a Big Ten team, the schedules are way off. The competition is way off. The talent is way off. So you got to have a committee that judges that. And a 1-loss Bama is more impressive than an undefeated Florida State team, especially without Jordan Travis. And that's why they're not in. So Florida State fans, you can cry harder, but let's keep it a buck. You are not better than Bama. You are not better than Texas. You can show that you show that you deserve it against Georgia, but let's keep it a stack. They're going to get, oh my God, I don't even want to watch that game, what Georgia's going to do to Florida State. Florida State, you should come prepared and play Georgia. You're not going to help your case if Georgia beats you by 30. Okay, now let's go to the 49ers and Eagles game. So at the beginning of the season, I came on here after the Philadelphia Eagles started 3-0. Remember, I had an episode, I said the Philadelphia Eagles probably the most concerning 3-0 team I've ever seen start a season. And the reason why it was because you remember in the beginning of the season, they had all these close games against the Patriots to start the season. Mac Jones, Patriots, and the Vikings. I know the Vikings went to the playoffs last year, had a really good record, and then this season they were pretty decent. But like, flashback to last year, that same Philadelphia Eagles team blew out the Vikings on Monday Night Football by like 20 or 30 points. They looked concerning. You know, they lost two of their coordinators, especially Shane Steichen. Offensively, I didn't know their identity. They were playing all these close games, letting teams come back into the game in the fourth quarter. And I was like, this Philadelphia Eagles team is just winning games off talent. That's what they were doing in the beginning of the season. The Philadelphia Eagles were just winning games based off talent. And then, I haven't really talked about the Eagles much since, but coming in the game against San Francisco, they were 10-1. And everything that I said at the beginning of the season about the Eagles stood, because although they were 10-1, I felt like the Eagles were still winning games off talent. So the Philadelphia Eagles, this entire season, they're so good that they were 10-1, but I always felt like they were just winning games off talent. Every single game was close, but they were able to squeeze out all these victories because they were just simply better than everyone at every position. But you can't do that against the San Francisco 49ers, who can go position to position with you and match up. You can't win by talent against the San Francisco 49ers. You got to win it by X's and O's. Just, not just, we're just more talented than you and squeeze out games. Because this is a 49ers team that can put a foot on the gas. You can't just win, just simply because I'm better than you. No, you got to out-scheme the 49ers situationally and force turnovers. That's how you beat San Francisco. I picked the 49ers to beat the Eagles. This was the rematch of the NFC Championship game. But in the playoffs, pre-playoffs last year, I picked the 49ers and Eagles to face each other in the NFC Championship game. Not a big head, prediction. Those were the two best teams in the NFC last year. But I picked the 49ers in that game to advance to the Super Bowl because I said, hey, listen, the Philadelphia Eagles are a really good team. But I thought the 49ers, were better. I thought that 49ers team could match up really well with Philadelphia and kind of neutralize everything that Philadelphia does well, running the ball, this and that. And, we didn't get to see that because as soon as the game happens, they had a lot of stuff going on, randomness, Devonta Smith catch, and then Brock Purdy, hurts his UCL. Game's pretty much over. They're on their fifth quarterback, Josh Johnson or whatever. CMC's taking snaps. So we didn't really get that, but we got it today where the 49ers healthy versus an Eagles team. They destroyed them. Because I thought the 49ers team, like I said early, like I said in the playoffs last year, this 49ers team can match up with the Eagles. And when they beat Dallas, I came on the show and said the 49ers, this is by far the best team in the NFL. This is just a great roster. You got Hall of Famers everywhere. But then, they looked human. They went on a 3-game losing streak. And I came on here, I said, this is still a good 49ers team, but they look beatable. They're not the best team in the NFC anymore. Best team in the NFL. But they got back Debo. They got back Trent Williams. They added Chase Young at the deadline. This team's now back to looking like extraterrestrial. The 49ers are by far the best team in the NFL. By far. If you're an Eagles fan, obviously the season isn't over for the Eagles. Of course not. The Eagles can still make it to a Super Bowl. But this is a San Francisco 49ers team that has Hall of Famers everywhere, and they don't look human. They've beaten the Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Jags, all by at least 3 scores. Those are some Super Bowl contenders to about everyone who decides who a Super Bowl contender is. They out-Phillied Philly. This is what I wanted to see. How well can the 49ers match up against Philly? They obviously did that. 146 rushing yards to 46. The Philadelphia Eagles' identity should be running the football. The 49ers neutralized that. I said it last year. That was my main prediction when I picked the 49ers over the Eagles was I love the 49ers run defense. They can take it away from Philadelphia, and I don't really like Philadelphia if they can't get the ground game going. Exhibit A. Philly's defense is suspect. It really is suspect. They couldn't keep up with the 49ers. Part of the reason why they were playing all these close games is because they don't have the defense to allow their offense to just blow teams out. They're always going to be in games because his defense isn't that good, and they couldn't keep up with the 49ers. It was clear as day. The 49ers' speed, the Hall of Famers they have on offense, Kittle, Williams, Debo, speed, Ayuk's route running, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy's decision-making, they couldn't stop anything. The Eagles this year are the 10th worst total yards defense, the 3rd worst passing defense, and the 9th worst in points. They allowed 6 straight touchdowns. Anytime the 49ers players got in open space, they missed tackles. They couldn't stop the run. The Philadelphia Eagles have been winning on talent all year. And you can win close games like that against like the Commanders and the Patriots. And you can win close games like that. But you're going to be but against the San Francisco 49ers, you can't win that way. This is a team that handles everybody when healthy. This 49ers roster, this is an historic level roster. I like, are we getting to the point where I think Theo Ash tweeted it yesterday? Are we getting to the point where the San Francisco 49ers team is so good that we'll be shocked that they don't make the Super Bowl? Because this team, Hall of Famers everywhere, they can match up with any team in the league. They've blown out any contender that they played when healthy. This roster just looks historic. And I think in 5 years from now, when we look back at like some of the historic teams in the NFL the last 2 decades, this 49ers team has to be up there as far as talent. This team is too good offense and defense to not win a Super Bowl. And I think they showed in Philadelphia, probably the best team they could have beat in the NFL. I think they're the best team in the league, not the 49ers. How they were able to do that to San Francisco is so impressive that I'd probably just hand them the trophy today. I mean, they out-Phillied Philly. Philly, against any team this year, has imposed their will up front, line of scrimmage, push, Kelsey, Jalen Carter, offense, D-line. They've done that to every team this year. They just out-physicaled, out-talent everyone this season. But San Francisco said, nah, we're going to do that to you, and you can't do anything about it. And they did. Offensive line, defensive line, for them, they out-Philly. That was so impressive. That was so impressive. And before we get out of here today, I want to talk. I'm going to get my take off on this guy right here. I really don't like this guy. As a player. I want to preface as a player. I can't say I don't like this guy because he's a really nice person. But the Chargers, they're 5-7. This season just feels like such a waste. Especially if they lost to New England. They just won a game in New England 6-0. What a just underwhelming season, underachieving season it's been for the Chargers team that we all thought after they finally got over the hump and made the playoffs last year, they were a playoff team. They had one of the better rosters in the league. How are they this bad record-wise? And, every time the Chargers struggle, you hear the same names all the time. Dean Spanos, Brandon Staley, Justin Herbert, Quentin Johnson, offensive line, this, that. You hear the same names. But I can't blame Brandon Staley because his defense shut out the Patriots. You can still blame Quentin Johnson. He always gets blamed. He had some drops. I can't blame Justin Herbert for the Chargers because he's one of the better quarterback talents this league has seen in recent years. Who else can't blame J.C. Jackson because he ain't even on the field. He played him yesterday. So the Chargers offense, even when I know they dealt with some injuries, they shouldn't be a 6-point offense. So who can I blame that no one else is blaming? Because you hear the same names all the time. Oh, I know. It's Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler is a 5'10 receiver who lines up in the backfield. Why does Ekeler never get blamed? You hear the same names all the time when the Chargers either lose or struggle to win games. You hear the same names. Oh, Quinn Johnson, Herbert, State. Why doesn't Ekeler ever get blamed? Oh, I know why. Because everyone who watches football also plays fantasy football. And Austin Ekeler is a PPR merchant. So he puts up a lot of fantasy points in a season, which a lot of people think then translates to reality, and he's one of the better backs in the league. He looks like that in fantasy, but real life he's not. I like my starting running backs to be, running backs, take snap, take a handoff, and run for yards, pick up key first downs. That's something Austin Ekeler can't do. He's one of the worst pure rushers in the National Football League, especially for a starter. Man. It makes no sense to me because No defense that's playing against the Chargers is game planning around Austin Ekeler in the run game. They're game planning around Justin Herbert. He sees zero defensive attention, and he's still inefficient. How is that possible? When you play against the Tennessee Titans, so Derrick Henry and Austin Ekeler, they're probably, if you rank a casual, tell them who's the top 10 running backs in football. Derrick Henry and Austin Ekeler are probably in their top 10. Derrick Henry is just miles ahead of Austin Ekeler because when you play the Tennessee Titans, I'm a Colts fan, see them twice a year. Your entire offensive game plan around the Titans, especially when it's an AFC matchup, is stack the box, put like 9 people there to try to tackle Derrick Henry. And he still ran for like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Colts. Austin Ekeler, not a single defense in America is saying, hey, we're going to stack the box and try to prevent Austin Ekeler from taking off in the backfield. No one's doing that. And he's still inefficient. I mean, Austin Ekeler against the Patriots, 14 carries, 18 yards. 4 yards was the longest carry yet. That is absolutely unacceptable for a starter running back in this league who wants to get paid. Austin Ekeler's had one 100-yard rushing game this season, and it was in week 1. That is how offense. I would think the Chargers would be better today if they just had a ground game to rely on. Wouldn't this offense score more points, win more games? Justin Herbert would feel better today if he could just, not have to throw it 50 times a game and could, hand off to Austin Ekeler for a series. I wish they could. I think PPR has carried Austin Ekeler's reputation, but now he even has a drop problem. So we all know he can't run the football. But now that he can't catch, his drop percentage is the highest in his career. He had some horrible drops these last couple of weeks. Now he can't catch the ball. So what is Austin Ekeler if he is in the receiving game? He's not a good running back. Why do you think the Jacksonville Jaguars came back against the Chargers when the Chargers blew that lead in that playoff game last year? Wouldn't the Chargers have advanced to Kansas City to play the Chiefs in the playoffs last year and take care of Jacksonville if they just would have had a running game? They blew that lead for a reason. Yes, did Brandon Staley's defense give up a lot of big plays against Jacksonville and is probably the biggest reason why they lost that game last season? Yeah. But you know how you maintain a lead and win a game when up big? You bleed the clock through on the ground to not let your opponent have so much time to come back from that deficit. They couldn't run the ball in the playoff game because Austin Ekeler couldn't run. There's a reason why they didn't pay him. I think the Chargers know. He's 28, and he's only getting worse as a runner. He's slow. The Chargers know that. I think he asked for a trade in the offseason. There was no market for Austin Ekeler, despite being one of the better fantasy running backs, touchdown leader here, there, putting up a lot of PPR points for people in leagues, but no one wants him. It's because of this. 18 yards, 14 carries. You're a running back. You're a starter. You have one 100-yard rushing game. Austin Ekeler's not that good. Austin Ekeler is not that good. And I think everyone blames the same guys, Quinn Johnson. They even like to blame Justin Herbert, Brandon Staley, Spanos, offensive line late in games, J.C. Jackson, Derwin James penalties. There's so many people I hear that get blamed all the time for the Chargers' losses. Some are fair, but it's like, why does no one ever blame Austin Ekeler? If you are a starting running back on an offense that's struggling and you're struggling, why shouldn't you get blamed? If you're averaging 3 yards a carry in the back half of the season, that's not acceptable. That is not acceptable. I wonder why the Chargers are struggling. Oh, maybe it's a guy that no one's blaming. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in to the 81st episode of Some Casual Takes. Social media, Some Casual Takes on every single platform. I hope you guys have a good week. It's the first week of December, and I'll see you guys in the next show. See you.